What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome into the Thomas Mott Show. Breaking news on a Saturday, just a few days before legal tampering begins and Philadelphia can start extending external free agents. Well, we forgot. They can go ahead and extend their own guys in-house, and our first big domino has officially dropped as the Philadelphia Eagles have went ahead and inked Jordan Davis to an absolutely massive contract extension. We're going to break it all down. This is a lot of money. I mean, they have put a massive amount of support behind Jordan Davis based on the numbers that we are seeing right now. I'll throw it up on the screen. You can see it right here. Boom. From Jordan Schultz about 15 minutes ago, you see he's getting a 3-year, $78 million contract extension, $65 million in guaranteed money, which is absolutely insane. It's $26 million per year, and it makes him the highest paid nose tackle in the history, literally the history of the National Football League. And so this is not just some mediocre extension that makes him a top 5 nose tackle or a top 10 nose tackle. This is Philadelphia 100% telling you they think Jordan Davis is the best nose tackle in the National Football League, can get to that level. And a lot of people are going to look at this and go, that's a lot of money. Is this too much money? $26 million a year, and yet I think what Jordan Davis did in 2025 was enough to go ahead and warrant this contract. Now, the market is resetting. This resets the market. Anytime you have a massive contract extension for any player, right, especially at a defensive tackle, defensive line position, next time you get an extension, that's going to go ahead and reset the market. And so the number is going to seem very big. We have yet to see the cap implications of this because we're jumping on so fresh. I mean, literally right after this move went down. But my guess is pushing out a 3-year deal, the dead cap is going to be towards the end of this, and this will free up additional money for Philadelphia to go ahead and make more moves. This was likely the first big domino that Philadelphia had to make the rest of them go ahead and fall in line. We talk about Jalen Phillips. We know Philadelphia is trying very hard to go ahead and make that extension happen. Jalen Carter, we'll talk about him here in a second, but this was the one you needed to get done in order to let the rest of them fall into place. And I honestly really like this. I know the money is going to be jaw-dropping. And again, if you're joining us right now, it's $26 million per year. For reference, Milton Williams, the highest paid free agent in last year's free agency, signed a $23 million a year deal. He's only behind Chris Jones in terms of defensive tackles, although Jones is technically an edge, a defensive tackle. He can play everywhere. He's getting $31 million a year. But in terms of pure defensive tackles, Jordan Davis is coming in at the highest paid player at the position in the entire National Football League. And how did we get to this number, right? We forget that entering last season, Jordan Davis was basically considered a bust. I mean, Philadelphia moved up, didn't take Kyle Hamilton all those years prior in the NFL draft. They took Jordan Davis and he was overweight. He could barely play more than a couple of downs, not a 3-down defensive tackle, and he never really got after the quarterback as well. And entering 2025, there was clearly a mandate sent down from the top. JD, you're about to enter your 5th-year option coming up here very soon. If you don't lock in, if you don't slim down, you're not going to get an extension, right? And they might have just let him go at the end of his 5th-year option based on that first-year contract. I was at the NovaCare Complex early before OTAs, like kind of, what was it, right after the NFL draft. So we're kind of in the May OTA area before training camp, and we met with Jordan Davis. And I had seen Jordan Davis in person before, a couple of years prior. He looked so incredibly slim compared to where he was. You could see it in his face, right? This right here was chiseled down. And he emphasized, he was talking to myself and Josh Davis, and he was like, guys, I have been working so darn hard on the Peloton, on my diet, walks after dinner, doing everything possible to get in the best shape possible. And what happened? He was probably their best defensive player, maybe the entire year. I mean, there's a very real argument that he was their best, at least front 7 defensive player, because Jalen Carter had the shoulder injuries. Jalen Hunt flashed more towards the end there, had a slow start. The consistent player was Jordan Davis. And it started as early as the Dallas Cowboy game and really culminated early in that first half of the season versus the LA Rams, where he had an incredible game overall, but also the blocked kick and then running the fastest any defensive tackle has ever ran on the block kick return for a touchdown, sealed it for Philadelphia. But he was great, I mean, literally game after game after game. And this, to me, is a move that Philadelphia basically had no choice on making, because star defensive tackles, not good defensive tackles, star defensive tackles do not grow on trees. Philadelphia's always had good ones, but the fact that they drafted one grew him from virtually nothing, proven to be a bust. People had him as last year going into 2025 as a bust, and now he walks into free agency and gets a massive contract extension that will help out Philadelphia's cap money, which is very, very important to go ahead and emphasize. So one more time here, Jordan Davis, $26 million a year. $26 million a year, which is unbelievable. The highest paid nose tackle in the entire National Football League, which leads us to a super chat here, by the way, Dirty DH35, because this is the next question. This is where we're going with, okay, they inked Jordan Davis. What about Jalen Carter? Because Jalen Carter's been in the news the past 48 hours. We'll talk about that. But Dirty D315 with the $2, he says, does this mean Carter is getting 30 plus million? I don't know. I don't know what this means for Jalen Carter, because technically Jalen Carter is also up for a contract extension. Now, he's 1 year later in terms of getting ready for one. He could technically wait another year, but a lot of common knowledge entering free agency was saying, you got to go ahead and lock down Jalen Carter now. That way you can save money and not have to wait until the final year of his deal or the fourth year of his deal to make this move. The fact they chose Jordan Davis, I think, does say they think he's healthier and they think that he long-term could be a better player. I still think a Jalen Carter extension is going to come, but the fact that we heard the rumors yesterday that Philadelphia was talking to, whether it's true or not, we don't know, the Las Vegas Raiders for Maxx Crosby and included Jalen Carter potentially in those phone calls. There's also the Micah Parsons report from last year that Jalen Carter was also mentioned in the Micah Parsons trade. We don't know if Philadelphia was offering Jalen Carter or if people were asking for Jalen Carter. That obviously matters. But I do wonder if Philadelphia is worried about Jalen Carter internally, whether it's work ethic, whether it's the shoulders, because he clearly was not 100% the entire season, needed double shoulder surgery, came back and still wasn't, good enough. He thinks he'll be ready on 100% in 2026. Or maybe the antics. The spinning in Dak Prescott's face did not sit well with that football team. They really thought that was going to cost them that game, and you watched Dallas run all over that Eagle defensive line early and often. They got very little pressure on Dak Prescott, and they really attributed to the fact that Jalen Carter did not play at all in that game. And so, while I still think they will extend Jalen Carter at some point, they truly believe he can be a superstar talent. The problem is, the past couple of years, I guess the first 3 years of his career, you're getting some mixed signals, right? You're getting a little bit of the character stuff, nothing crazy, but a little bit of it there. But the injuries in 2025 were a problem, and I could see Philadelphia ink Jordan Davis for 26, as they just did, and then kind of go, you know what, Jaelan? We're going to give you one more year, and then we'll come back and try and redo this at the end of 2026. Prove to us you're worthy of 30 plus million, because he will be, and then we'll go ahead and make that deal. So we don't know yet in terms of Jalen Carter. It could still happen. I mean, it could happen right now, right? The next 15 minutes, they could go ahead and extend Jalen Carter. But I think the fact that they made Jordan Davis the priority is very telling here. And again, now you wonder how much extra money they have in terms of pushing the dead cap further forward with an extension to make the move that I think will be the next one that they're going to go ahead and try and make, and that is going to be Jaelan Phillips. That, to me, is Philadelphia's prized free agent target. We know that they were at least calling the Raiders for Maxx Crosby. Obviously, they didn't want to give up 2 first-round draft picks. I'm kind of glad they didn't. That's a massive haul for a guy who's 29 years old. But that means that they have to go ahead and get an edge rusher. Trey Hendrickson's name has been thrown around there, but Jaelan Phillips is probably the guy they want to internally re-sign, just like with Zach Bond in the free agency period in 2025. But they need to get that done, because if Jaelan Phillips hits free agency Monday afternoon, signs with somebody on Tuesday or March 11th, whenever the new league year begins, that means he's going to have a lot of suitors. I think Philadelphia wants to make sure that that can be done in order to not let him go ahead and test the market and get more money. In order to free up that money, they had to go ahead and ink Jordan Davis, and that's why we have the massive contract here. I think he earned it. I know people are going to say $26 million is too much, and maybe it is. But in the modern National Football League, if you have a serious playmaker at the true nose tackle, defensive tackle position, excellent against the run this year. I mean, he was absolutely incredible against the run this year, but also he had the pass rush numbers as well. I'm going to try to pull this tweet up. That way people can go ahead and see. 63rd tackles on design runs. This is Jordan Davis in 2025. The most among defensive tackles. 6 batted passes, most among defensive tackles. 9 TFLs, top 5 defensive tackles. 28 pressures, a career high, and 4.5 sacks, a career high. And he's only 26 years old. So Philadelphia has clearly told the rest of the National Football League, we think we have a guy who is entering his prime. Not who just hit his prime in 2025, who is entering his prime. And if that's the case, what does that mean for Jordan Davis in 2026? I mean, 4.5 sacks? What if it's 7.5 sacks? 63 tackles on designated runs? What if that's 83 tackles on designated runs? The fact that he slimmed down and proved that he could be an every down defensive tackle shows you why they were willing to give him $26 million a year, which I think is really crazy. I'm seeing in the chat that this frees up $9.3 million. I need to check Twitter and actually make sure if that is correct. I mean, it would make sense. Obviously, when a deal goes down, the cat people on Twitter start to kind of make some money here and figure out, where Philadelphia can save in terms of going forward. I'm trying to see if I have that actual number, but it looks like it will be around $10 million a year in additional cap space, which means Philadelphia is going to have north of $30 million. And depending on what happens with other extensions or cuts, Michael Carter is a name, Jake Elliott's another name out there as well, Keely Ringo, they could get north of $40 million a year, which is tons of spending money to go in and do whatever they want in terms of free agency in the next couple of days. Again, if you're just joining us, $76 million a year, officially a $78 million a year, 60 plus guaranteed, $26 million per year for 3 seasons. I love this move. I really do. And again, this doesn't just set a precedent that, you know what, if you get drafted high by the Philadelphia Eagles, we're going to re-sign you. This plus the Bond deal this past offseason tells you if you come to Philadelphia and you maybe even struggle in the beginning. Bond obviously not in Philadelphia, but struggled in the beginning of his career. Jordan Davis in Philadelphia struggled very beginning of his career. If you come to Philly and you struggle, but you work hard and you rise from the ashes and become one of the top players at your position, we're going to reward you. Philadelphia wants to reward internal free agents. They want to reward internal draft picks. And this, to me, is a great overall, I would say, trendsetter for future draft picks, for future players, right? Jahad Campbell, first-round draft pick this past season. Nakobe Dean likely going to be gone in the coming days. Jahad Campbell, you figure it out. A couple years down the road, you're going to get one of the biggest extensions that a linebacker can get because Howie Roseman rewards his own. And what a great story here for Jordan Davis. Absolutely a great story. I'll go ahead and bring this back up in case people are just joining us here. That way you can see the exact move that we're talking about. Let me just pull this one up one more time because, of course, we are live right now. $78 million extension, 3-year deal. $65 million is guaranteed fully here. Win Sports Group, boy, his agent did a great job. $26 million per year. He is the highest paid nose tackle in the entire National Football League. And wow, what a day. And I opened the show by saying this, but we hung out with Jordan Davis at Eagle OTAs this past May at the NovaCare Complex. He is one of the nicest guys that I've ever met from the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I've met a lot of people who play for the Eagles. Most of them are extremely friendly. Some are like kind of, a little standoffish, but most are extremely friendly. Jordan Davis was easily the nicest. I mean, walked into a room, didn't know who Josh and I were, immediately started chatting it up and was like, what's up, guys? We're having fun. Him and Nolan Smith were going back and forth, and he was just hungry. That was the big thing that I took away from that meeting with the Philly Dogs is like, I think Jordan Davis knows he can be elite, but he knows he has to lock in order to become elite. And he did it. And he did it in Vic Fangio's scheme. And you wonder how much of a factor Vic Fangio played in all of this, where he, talking with Howie, who do you want to go ahead and extend first? He said, you guys better make sure Jordan Davis is not just here for 2026, but here for the long term, and in order to make sure that this defensive line stays as elite as possible. And I'm just picturing, if they can re-sign Jaelan Phillips, and this is without draft picks and without other free agent additions, your defensive line in Philadelphia is year 3, Jalix Hunt, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. Obviously, year 4, Nolan Smith, who was injured last year, so healthy Nolan Smith. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, who should be healthy. Maybe he gets an extension, maybe he doesn't. We talked about that. Moro Ojomo, a lot of buzz about Moro getting a contract extension right now, although I think he's going to wait one more year because he was decent year 1, really good year 2, blossoming now year 3. I would like to see one more of Moro Ojomo, but obviously he's picked up defensive tackle. And then potentially Jaelan Phillips. And if all those guys stay healthy, because that was the problem in 2025 with Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, holy cow, this is going to be, one of the best defensive lines in the National Football League, which is awesome, which is really, really crazy. And also, other thought here is that Brandon Graham, whether he comes back or not, only has one more season max, right? Brandon Graham's going to retire. He's not going to be here 2 or 3 years down the line. Philadelphia's been trying to find that next Brandon Graham, that next personality, that next kind of representative of what the Philadelphia Eagles are. And there's a lot of options, right? I mean, Nolan Smith trying to become the next Brandon Graham. I think he's got to play a little bit better to get to that point. Jordan Davis has kind of been that guy, an excellently media-trained person. He's great in all of those media meetings. He has a lot of really good answers. And this could be what Philadelphia views as their next Brandon Graham for many years to come, as the face of the Eagle defense, and hence why they went ahead and made the extension. Okay, we'll do a couple of super chats. We'll read some chats here as well. Chronicles CG says, JD is my favorite. Yay. Z Watson says, I'm excited. See, Arthur says, holy overpay. And I think that's the price of doing business right now for a star defensive tackle. And I think Jordan Davis was playing with house money. Anytime you wait to extend somebody, if they then have the best year of their career and are top 5 in every major metric that we talked about a couple of minutes ago at their position, the price goes up. Would you have liked to do it for $20 million a year? Sure. But when you look at what Milton Williams got, he got 23. And whenever you reset the market and the NFL cap goes up every single year, 23 becomes 26 very easily. And Jordan Davis was, I think, pretty much worth $26 million. I mean, you can say overpay. I think that it's a pretty good move overall. What's up with all the Carter slander? He's still elite. I don't think I'm slandering Carter. I think a lot of people on Twitter with that whole Maxx Crosby trade rumor from Ricky Scoops, which turned out to not be true. People are freaking out about Jalen Carter. I think he's elite when he's healthy. And I think that the spitting on Dak Prescott was a real problem. And I think that those shoulders were also a massive problem because he was never in shape. He basically didn't practice at training camp. We never saw him whenever we were there, but came out a couple of weeks before the start of the season, looked gassed on a lot of plays, obviously got ejected. Then the shoulders were a problem. I think that people are kind of just forgetting the fact that when he is healthy, then he's one of the best D tackles in the National Football League. But health has been a problem. And knock on wood, because you never know, anything can change. Jordan Davis has been extremely healthy throughout his career. Had a couple of ankle problems. Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I forget which season it was. But other than that, he's been very reliable. Like I said, worked his absolute butt off to get as healthy as possible, as slim as possible, and he's reaping the benefits. So I like it. I think he deserves the contract. I think this is a great move for Philadelphia. And now with an additional $9, $10, $15 million, depending on how the contract looks on the back end, because that's what Philadelphia does. They backload these things. Philly has spending money. Now, is it Trey Hendrickson spending money, $26 million a year for an external free agent? I don't know. I think Jaelan Phillips will be the next big name that drops, and I think it's going to happen this weekend. I would be shocked if they let Jaelan Phillips go Monday afternoon without getting a contract extension. If they do, that would tell me he might be walking, right? If they don't ink Jaelan Phillips today, tomorrow, early Monday morning, I'm going to start to get a little worried, but I think that this frees up the money to go ahead and make this move and gives Philadelphia maybe the best trio of defensive tackles when healthy: Ajomo, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter in the entire National Football League. So, holy cow, what a move. What a move. Now, again, drafting defensive line in first round, probably not. I think they're probably going to go offensive line or, a position yet to be known. Reed Blankenship's still a free agent. Kobe Dean, obviously a free agent. They need a cornerback. Adoree Jackson's a free agent. We're going to go ahead and wait and see. But this is why you turn the notification bell and subscribe, because first one live, as always. I would normally do it with Josh Davis. Josh Davis is in Georgia right now. He's in Savannah, as myself and him will be at Nolan Smith's celebrity, or I guess charity, golf tournament on Monday afternoon or Monday morning. And so he flew down with his family, or his brothers, I should say, who's playing on his team this morning. And so he's already in Savannah, and so he can't go live. So he will have plenty of shows for you guys as well on his channel whenever he comes back. But I'll be live until I drive down to Savannah, which will be tomorrow afternoon. And then maybe we'll do a live on our phones. Who knows? We'll go ahead and figure it out. Okay, one final time, Jordan Davis, contract extension. If you want to replay the video, go ahead and just start from the beginning. $26 million a year, the highest paid defensive tackle in the entire National Football League. Priority one for Philadelphia, they've told us, is inked. There's a lot more to come. Be sure to subscribe. I'm Thomas Mott, quick live here. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.